Hello, everybody, and it's Sunday when you're listening to this at 1 p.m. because that's when I'm dropping my videos, everybody. So, today I'm going to do the next part of my outline for my GM guide, and it's the next part's the do's and don'ts of GMing. I'm starting with the don'ts just because it's what came first, no particular reason other than that. So the do's are going to be probably broken up into two parts over the next couple of days, but the don'ts are coming up first today. All right. So, and keep in mind right now, I did my last video talking about the don'ts of gaming, some of the things that you should avoid for sensitive players, and one of those things was somebody who drinks too much or maybe smokes a little too much, funny weed and all that kind of stuff. So, I've had a couple. Tonight, it's Saturday night. I watched Apocalypse Now with my nephew, and then I kicked back with a couple after that. Went to a basketball game with another nephew. Went to a bar after that, and I came home and wrote up this thing, and then started the recording. So, if I'm a little slurry or a little crazy, that explains it. But I don't think I'm a little sloppy. That's the key thing here. Okay, so. Some things you should never do as a GM. I guess I should start with don't get too fucking drunk that you can't run your game well. But that's not really even in my outline, just sort of like a segue into this thing. But very first thing, don't be a railroader. Meaning, don't be the type of GM that moves players along a predetermined course of action that you imagined before the campaign even started, all right? Contrary to modern adventure writing guidelines, there is no beginning, middle, and end to an adventure. This is not a fucking book or a novel or a short story or anything like that. There's just a beginning. Hopefully, the players do the middle you prepped, and who knows how the hell the ending's going to go, honestly. But if you start out with a plan of how it's going to go, as the famous military axiom goes, no plan survives first contact with the enemy. I don't know who said that, and I'm not trying to say your players are the enemy, but, I kind of hope you get the point I'm trying to make here. If you're running players through a dungeon, you can probably expect with some certainty that they're going to keep going, right? So that's nice because it's easy prep for next game. But in a city or a wilderness adventure, you never know what's going to happen, really. The worst thing you could ever do is plan out your adventures in advance. You should really adopt a sandbox approach. It gives you and your players the most flexibility in whatever they want to do, whatever wherever the adventure can go. And that way they can go where they want. You can prep for it ahead of time, hopefully, as long as they give you a little notice, like, hey, next session we're going to go here. And then you can prep for it, right? And everyone has a good time. I'm going to have a lot more on this later on in the series and in the book I write, okay? But there's nothing more disappointing, really, than when a group is going from adventure to adventure, regardless of where they actually want to go. This is a staple of the old days, right? Remember Dragonlance and all that stuff? Remember the temple, elemental evil? And then they did later on. They sort of like, because I think Dragonlance got so popular, they tried to make the temple series, the Greyhawk series of adventures, like Temple, Slavers, Giants, and Drow. They weren't designed that way, but I think Dragonlance kind of like put it in their head that, hey, we could do this series of adventures, and they barely hung together. But it's like no matter what you did between the adventures, all roads eventually lead to the next one. It can be fun if that's what you're looking for with a group, and you put a good overlay over it or something like that, and mix it up and play it up and change it up. But in general, if you just play it rules as written, honestly, it's just a glorified railroad. There's no player agency. Your PC's background and his personality are just pretty much irrelevant. No matter what you do, you know what's coming up, so you may as well just be a fucking murder hobo, It doesn't matter roleplay wise, except to get through the next thing or to get through the thing you're in front that's in front of you right now. Now, modern adventure writing has sort of mutated this into like an abomination or a living abortion, whatever you want to call it. There's chapters in adventures these days, just like a fucking book. It presupposes that players will go through it in a certain order. I've seen organized play, and it operates the same way. It's pathetic. I've watched a session a couple times. It was disgusting, really, how they were doing this thing. It was just, God, I don't have the words to describe how pathetic that was. It wasn't even D&D. It wasn't role playing. It was just people doing whatever came next. And the DM sucked. The players sucked. And when I later played with those players in my game, no matter what I did, everything was a plot hook to them. They didn't understand the concept of a sandbox. They were so used to a regimented game, they didn't know what the hell a sandbox was. It was sad. They were stunted in their own growth, Anyway, I think this may stem from, also in some cases, from the second don't of GMing. Don't ever try to make an adventure out of your fantasy novel that sucks so bad no one will publish the thing. Everybody wants to be the next Tolkien, right? Sadly enough, most role-playing game geeks I hate to say it, guys, but you lack the insight into human behavior that would ever make you a good writer. It's just not fucking possible for most of you, right? I'm not trying to shit on my fellow gamers, but it's fucking sad. It's the truth. We're all mostly misfits who don't understand normal people for the most part, and to varying degrees. Again, most part, varying degrees. So is that enough qualifiers to mellow out the butthurt you're all feeling, peeps? Anyway, all your Tolkien aspirations aside, don't be the guy who tries to run your group through a novel. You may have the best story and the best NPCs in the world, but if the players feel like they lack agency, it's a shitty game. There's no two ways about it. You just suck as a GM if you run railroads, if you try to take them through your shit novel. The key word in all that, if you haven't noticed, is player agency. They need to feel like they have control over the PC's lives. Just like we all want to feel that way in real life, I think ironically it's perhaps even more important in RPGs for players because many players lack all sense of agency in their real lives, which is why they play RPGs, right? It's why many guys, young men and all that, are playing video games. They're just stuck in real life and they just want to level up. They can't do it in real life, so they're gonna fucking be the 900th level dude in whatever the hell game they're playing, But so if you take that away, that sense of agency in their D&D game, you're gonna fuck their game up and fuck their lives up too, really. So upgrade your skills as a GM, right? Watch more of my videos on how to learn how to do that. All right. So the next don't. The first don't's the longest don't, right? Because I think I've seen that more than anything else. But the next don't be a rules lawyer. Be flexible. Know the rules, know them well. But if the players come up with some bullshit that sounds interesting, just fucking roll with it, man. For example, in my 2E game a few months ago, I forget how long, but even though I have no rules really for scavenging body parts of monsters after you kill it, one of my players asked me if they scavenge some of the body parts of a young white dragon they killed, would they get some sort of advantage if they use it as a spell component. He was a mage, a wizard. And I said, yeah, what the fuck, sure. No big deal, Later, when he used it as a spell component to a fireball, he wanted to convert it to like a ice ball or whatever the hell, cold damage instead of fire damage. I just rolled with it and said, yeah, it worked, cool. That's something I would never have done 10 years ago. I was too much of a control freak, a rules lawyer. Honestly, though, I think what it came down to was I was too unsure of my abilities to wing it. I didn't feel confident in myself as a DM, GM, whatever, to just wing it, right? I think too many rules followers out there as GMs are just scared to wing it and just go beyond the rules. Just let go. Roll with it. I think you're going to kind of be amazed what you can do if you let go of all your fear. Just don't let it fucking control you. Fear is the worst thing in the world, all right? Next don't. Don't make every session an exercise in improv acting. No matter how good you become at NPC performances, never forget where you started. You probably sucked ass like me. You shouldn't expect everybody to be your level. Plus, no matter where you're at now, no matter how good you think you are, you could always get better. It never ends, right? Pacino's probably still taking fucking acting lessons somewhere, This is a game with an infinite learning curve. Again, an infinite learning curve. You're never done learning, whether as a GM or as a player or anything, right? You could always learn more. So while it's okay to ask players to stay in character as much as possible, you got to realize everyone has limitations and preferences. Maybe they just don't want to fucking play like that, right? Don't penalize them if they can't keep up with you or the rest of the group in terms of staying in character and improv and role-playing, all that. I used to do an XP award, a special bonus one for the best role player of the group. And it was voted on by other players, so it wasn't sort of me being biased and all that. But I ended that when I realized it was always the same guy who won most of the time. It just made everybody feel bad, which is the last thing I wanted after one of my games. People don't want to feel like, oh, I suck at role-playing, I'll vote for Vincent or whatever the hell, It didn't make any sense, So I'm like, I just stopped doing it, All right, next, do not try to win and beat the players. Sometimes I can't believe this has to be said, but it really does, sadly. I'm not going to get into all the various psychological issues and defects that make certain DMs this way, but many are the type that view GMing as a win-loss or a zero-sum game. You know what I mean? You either win or you lose, and that's it. You're the GM, man. You could always win. Just play the fucking Tarrasque card. You wanna beat them that bad? You're walking down a hallway, a Tarrasque shows up. You're dead, right? I mean, this isn't the game of winning and losing. It's how you want to win as a GM. Here's how you know if you're a fucking winner as a GM. Did the players come back week after week after week? If they do, you're doing something all right. That's it. That's the bottom line. You're doing something okay if they keep showing up. And if you can't figure out why you want to kill your fucking PCs, go to fucking therapy, honestly. You could always do it if you want to. You could always kill them. It's not hard. Just add more shit, you know? But honestly, if you do, you're a dick. There's no way around it. Which brings us to the last don't. Don't be a dick. I don't know how to explain this other than that one fucking line. Don't be a dick. All right? I guess put yourself in your player's shoes. If you think that from their point of view, you're being a dick, guess what? You probably are. Stop. Stop being a dick. All right? Don't be a dick. Every once in a while, it can't hurt to ask your players if they think you're being a dick. There's a lot of dicks in this last fucking section here, but that's why it's a sausage fest, I guess. But ask your players, am I being a dick? Was I a dick here? Was, blah, blah, blah. If they say yes, you probably were, honestly. Just don't ask at the beginning of a big fight. They may not want to say you're a dick just when you're about to have the chance to kill them, Might be scared to tell you the truth. But honestly, be self-reflective. Ask the players how you're doing. Don't be afraid of honest feedback. And change it up if they give you good info. But the key to this is be fucking humble. Be willing to look at yourself as objectively as you can. And look at, try to take an outside point of view and just say, you know what, that was stupid. I could have been better. I could have done better. And change it up, man. Because you want to keep the game rolling. You want to keep your players happy. You want to keep the campaign rolling. It's fun, right? So don't be a dick. I guess I'll end it with that, guys. All right, next video, Monday. The do's of DMing. I think it's going to be at least a 2-part series, maybe 3. That'll come out Monday at 1 p.m. All my videos on 1 p.m. on the hour, all right? So click and like and click subscribe to this whole thing, please. It helps me with the subs. It's a weird thing. I release videos, I get a lot of views, and I don't get a lot of subs. I guess those are my preaching to the choir vids. Everybody who's already a sub watches. And then there's those random ones that just hit big. I have no fucking idea how YouTube works. I wish I could hack the fucking algorithm, man. I'd be the god of YouTube. But for now, I'm just here begging you. Click like, click subscribe, make a comment for the algorithm, send out, links to everybody. Just make the thing rock, Trying to grow this little community. And I think there is a nice little community growing in the comments section. I got to say, somebody commented today. It's like a nice little thing. I never thought of a comment section as a community. Usually it's like a toxic fucking waste dump, but it's really gone pretty nicely, So I think I scare away anybody who tries to be a dick. So click like, subscribe, send it out, and share it around. And look forward to the next time, guys. All right? Thanks very much. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.